Welcome back to RCAP's podcast. I am your host, Ronick. And before I introduce my special guest today, I want to invite you guys to follow us on Instagram at RCAP's podcast. Like and subscribe. It's the little things that help us out, to help us out, bring you guys more guests, more episodes, more content coming. So make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram. It's free. And with that being said, I want to introduce my special guest today. Why not Kicks and Caps?
That's it. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
You're living proof that if you really want to sit down here in the chair and talk caps, you could come down here. You just took a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
From Bakersfield.
Yep.
I want to, thank you for your time. I want to thank you for, coming to the studio and chopping it up with me and talking some caps.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
I want to start by getting into, for those who don't know who you are, what is home to you, and what do you call home?
Home, man, Bakersfield, California, by way of a small town called Blythe, California, but lived in Bakersfield most of my life at this point. Just a dad, married dad, three kids, 3 adult daughters, 20-year-old twins and a 19-year-old.
Oh, you have twins?
Twins, yeah, 20-year-old twin daughters.
How was that?
And, we're a blended family, so we met. The twins were 3, and then mine was 2 when we met. But so been together for a long time, though, man. So, but raising triplets essentially. So,
that's interesting.
All girls too, man. Got my hands full.
What's something about Bakersfield that you think the world should know about? Like, what is different about Bakersfield than your ordinary, like LA County, Orange County, or whatnot?
I always say it's like a big small town, man.
Okay.
Like it's got a bad rap sometimes, but and some of it might be deserved, but community really comes together, man.
Yeah.
My wife works in education, and I'm a basketball coach, and like those type of communities come together and support, man, and they just support whatever it is that you're doing. If you're really into it and you're really grinding and showing out, people will get out and support, man. And that's always a good feeling. I was raised in a small town.
Yeah.
So to get that same support from a bigger town, not that Bakersfield's that big, but it's a much bigger town than I grew up in. And to get that kind of support from there is always really cool, man. So,
being from a small town and entering LA, it's a lot different, like traffic and life so fast. Does that kind of sometimes, in a way, kind of get you like, damn?
Sometimes, man, it's funny. So the town I grew up in, it's Blythe, California. It's on the California-Arizona border. I think when I left, there's 8,000 people there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can literally go across town in 5 minutes. So now, like, to go across like a 20-minute, 30-minute drive to go across town, that's, I've been there 30 years. It's still new to me, but it's nice to kind of have that balance of the two, man. I have that small town vibe, lots of small communities that just really come together with, we still have some of the bigger city amenities, but we don't deal with the traffic that you guys deal with, which is nice.
I know you mentioned being a basketball coach, right?
Yeah.
Is basketball something you always been passionate about?
Not necessarily basketball, just coaching.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to the Foothill High School women's basketball program, defending Valley champs. What's up, girls? I just love coaching. I love mentoring. I worked in education for a little while. And the head coach of the program I was at, and he just stopped coaching this past year, but he was one of my students.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was his first basketball coach, and then when he got the job, he brought me on as an assistant. So, but so mentoring people, mentoring kids is more what it's all about for me, man. And so, I even try to bring some of that to the hat game that I'm in. So,
mentoring the next generation, I feel like it's important, right? Because some people have it harder than others.
Yes, absolutely.
Nobody knows what's really going on at home.
Absolutely, man. You learn that working with high school kids. You really learn that one.
And it's important, right? Because even though you might not get commissioned or something that it is that you really want, somewhere down the road, you will have a grown man come up to you and, hey, thank you.
Yes.
You were there for me when no one really wasn't.
Man, I tell our other coaches, I tell my wife this, like, as a coach, I have to be okay with knowing that I may not be there when the light bulb goes off.
Okay.
When they realize what I was saying when they were 15, they may not realize it till they're 25.
Yeah.
And I got to be okay with that. Like, I'm not going to get that personal gratification of seeing it.
Yeah.
But if it happens, I'm good with it. I don't need that grad. That's not why I'm in it. I'm not in it for my own personal feelings. I'm in it for hopefully the light bulb clicks, because I went through a lot of stuff in my life. I wasn't the best student, and I wasn't I wasn't the best high school kid. So it's that old, what is it? I crawled so they could walk type of thing.
I feel like those situations and those experiences is really what molds an individual to become the person that they are later in life.
Absolutely.
I feel like, in my personal opinion, my personal adventures that I had growing up, I feel like the more struggle that was shot my way, the stronger it made me to strive to be better later in life.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And, for, these high school kids, man, and the things they're dealing with now are things that we didn't necessarily have to deal with, the social media stuff, the cyberbullying, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, while I can't relate on those topics, I can relate in the struggles. I can relate in the insecurities and all that shit that you deal with as a high school kid. So I always tell them, the X's and O's of basketball are cool, but I'm way more into I talk to them about mental health. I talk to them about, what's going to be the next step after high school. I'm really big on those type of things. So
it's definitely important to be ready for the next step.
Yes.
I wanted to dive into, brother, when it comes to cap collecting, right? How did you distinguish from buying just a cap and just rocking a cap, right? Whether it be from the mall, whatever, to devoting yourself to buy hundreds of caps and have a big collection? How was the early stages for you?
So I've been buying hats forever, man. My first hat my dad got me, I think it was 1985 maybe. So I've been buying hats for a long time and just kind of rocking them. I always had hats around, but to get into that whole collecting, it really started. I was looking around, and it was actually coming up on Christmas, and my wife was like, "You can't buy any more shoes, because I always want to get you shoes, but I never know what you have and what you don't have." So I was like, "All right, I won't buy any shoes." Well, I started just finding hats. I was like, "All right, cool." I went from one vice to another, and so I found the City Connect hats.
Yeah,
the Major League Baseball City Connect hats, and they were just so different. And I was like, "Oh, these are cool." Started looking them up, and I came across the Topper's Europe store.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know these stores existed.
Okay.
Then I did a YouTube search, and it was top 10 hat stores, and your hat clubs and your exclusives and all those stores came up. Clink was on there, and then started diving into them, man. And it went from buying a couple hats to I was like, oh, I want this one. I want that one. I was a dude who would never rock hats that weren't team colors.
Okay.
Initially, I come from a sports background, so buying hats came from my love of sports.
Yeah.
So wearing the same hats that the athletes were wearing was really cool to me. So I didn't really, and then I was just out of high school. I was working at Foot Locker when the red Yankee hats started coming out. Spike Lee red Yankee hats, and then they started the blue Yankee hats and all these different color Yankee hats.
So that was really a thing, because when New Era turned, they had their anniversary, I believe, for 100 years. They shared that story.
Yeah, that red Yankee hat, man. I'm pretty sure, the history may be wrong, but pretty sure Spike Lee had them make him a red Yankee hat. And everybody's like, oh my God, I've never seen this.
Yeah.
And I worked at Foot Locker. We got a red Yankee hat on. Boom, bought it right away.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, and it was initially, as far as I know, it was only Yankee hats. That's all we had in the store, at least.
Yeah.
Blue ones, gray ones, brown ones. Every color that came in, I copped it. Had to have it.
Yeah.
I worked at the store, so as soon as they came in, I did stock. As soon as they came in, $7, at the time it's probably $7.25. They decide I was buying it. So,
in those early teens, right? Those early teen years of yours, was cap always a part of your identity? Always rocking a cap while you were out?
Always.
So you were always a cap guy from the jump?
Always.
How old would you say you were? Those when you kind of wanted that first legit New Era cap?
So I got my first everything. So I've told the story before to people, but growing up, there was a baseball player named Rupert Jones.
Okay.
Probably not many people have heard of him. And he was my favorite player, man, just because I liked his name.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he was any good, but I loved his name.
Who did he play for?
He played for the Angels.
Okay.
And so, it got to the point I was so obsessed with this dude. I have an uncle who still called me Rupert.
Yeah.
I was just my uncles called me. My name would come out in the paper on little stats and stuff. It said Tony Rupert Donez. You know, it was just, and so he played for the Angels. My dad got me an Angels hat. It's probably like 85.
Okay.
And I rocked that thing every day for years, man. To the point where like my dad finally took it and threw it away because it stunk so bad. Cause
it's time for a new one.
It just had 8-year-old funk on it. And then my dad traveled for work, and he would bring home new eras. Like it wasn't like now where you can just go down to lids on every other corner. You know, there weren't a whole lot of stores in the mid to late 80s that were selling them. There was a Pro Image in Palm Desert, in the mall in Palm Desert.
Okay.
And he would stop in there, and he would just bring home random hats. And I remember he brought home a Greensboro Hornets minor league cap. We didn't even know what team it was. He didn't even know what team it was.
Yeah.
And brought it home, and I was like, what is this? And rocked it. And then he was a collector. At one point he had, it was when, I think there was 28 teams in Major League Baseball. He had all 28 hats.
Okay.
Had them displayed in the house. Like
so he kind of, is it fair to say he kind of passed on the passion of collecting?
Absolutely inspired it, man. Absolutely inspired it. Now, he had them hanging, and I remember going in, and I'd take them off and try them on. It was just, it was
shout out to Pops, by the way.
Yeah, Pops, my Pops. Yes, absolutely. And Pops passed about 10 years ago, man, but he sent that passion on for sure.
May he rest in peace.
Thank you.
And, getting these caps in the early 80s, middle 80s, right? As far as the quality of the cap, how would you say it changed from the 80s to 2024?
If I remember right, back then they were full wool hats.
Okay.
Yeah, they were wool, and I believe the brims were more of a like cardboard. So they would if you bend it too much, it would break.
Okay.
All that, but I don't remember, to be honest with you. Back then, I still have hats like from probably 10 to 15 years ago. That material's definitely different. Like it's more wool. It's more. Doesn't have the same structure that these poly hats have.
Kind of like more like a stiff feel to it type thing.
In the brim, I mean in the crown for sure. It's more of a. Some of them are really soft, but it just doesn't have that same structure. Like it's the hat. Like if you take it off, it'll kind of fall back, kind of thing.
Are you the type of guy, brother? Like when you get your caps or you're going through your caps, you kind of have to have some shoes to match that cap.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I started out sneakerhead. I was sneakerhead before, and so like I mean. If you go look on my page, it's kicks and caps.
Yeah.
And it started, and my first couple posts were, it's a hat to match a shoe.
Okay.
It's a hat to match a shoes. And then it became more hats. And then my younger brother was like, hey, man, there's way more caps than kicks on kicks and caps these days. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're right, man. So I went back, I've been trying to do more, but yeah, it's always been the shoes.
What were your first shoes that you started with?
First shoe, I remember, as a kid, I don't, but I remember my first Jordans.
Yeah.
I remember my first Jordans. They were Jordan 4s. The Jordan 4, the white with the elephant or the snake skin.
In my personal opinion, I feel like a lot of people that collect caps only want to match them to Jordans. Right?
Yeah.
But there's so many other options out there. So
I'm wearing Jordans today, but my post yesterday was with New Balance. I rock Dunks. I rock New Balance. I got Vans. I rock all shoes. I'm not discriminating. Jordans are obviously like for a lot of people they're like the Grail shoes and the ones that everybody's looking for. But I'd say like right now I'm on an Air Max 1 kick. Lots of Air Max 1s.
Okay.
So it just I go through phases. But yeah, I mean, Jordans are kind of like, the ones for a lot of people.
And while attending grade school, right, when you're attending grade school, did you have any other friends that were kind of into the same thing as you? Like, hey, man, maybe I got this cap. You want to trade with me type thing?
Not really, man. Not really. Especially back then, like I said, like you couldn't just go find a New Era fitted somewhere.
Yeah.
So like it just, it wasn't really a thing. Like even if I was quote unquote collecting back then, I didn't really know it. I just had hats and I wore hats all the time. And like, seriously, I probably worn a hat every, probably 99% of the days of my life since I was probably 10.
Okay.
Just a hat on it. It's, I work from home.
Yeah.
I spend 10 minutes picking a hat that nobody's going to see. I work from home by myself, but I still still takes time to pick out a hat for the day. So it's just part of my day.
How many caps would you say you're in collection at this moment?
Man, you're asking questions that are going to get me in trouble at home now, bro. Oh, man.
If you had to pick a number.
I haven't sat down and counted, but it's safe to say there's probably 900 plus hats.
900 plus?
Yeah.
That's a good amount.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot, man.
Do you even collect caps, bro? I got 900, buddy.
And it's never been about like the quantity. Like I'm really the type, man. Like if I see something I like and then I have the bread at the time, like I'm just gonna pick it up, and yeah, it's not to say, I've never said like, oh, I'm gonna have this many hats, so I can say I have a lot of hats.
Yeah.
It just kind of started, and I'm a deal finder, man.
Okay.
If there's a sale going on, or I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Can you take me a little bit into your process of storing these caps, right? Because for the ordinary person that might see this, they're going to be like, 900 caps? Right. Where is he putting these things at? Right. What is your process when storing these 900 caps? So if it's 900 or possibly more.
So lucky for me, like I said, I work from home and I have my own office.
Yeah.
There's like a little offshoot room in our garage that ran air conditioning into, so I'm able to store them all in there. So I have like the plastic shoe boxes open up from the front. Hat slot in there, and then there's some shelves, and they're all just stacked up.
Okay.
From the shelf to the ceiling, and goes all the way across one wall. And then I'm, part of my collecting. Dude, I would say I'm the alphabet man, dude. I got OCD, I got ADD, down with OPP. I got it all, bro.
Yeah.
And so like my hats also like there's a whole like filing system that goes along with them. So each box is numbered, and then I have an old iPad that I put the picture, so say box 10, I go to album number 10, and I should have a picture of every hat that's in the...
Oh, so you kind of have
so I'm not sorting through boxes and going through to find stuff, and so yeah, it's kind of,
in Los Angeles, it's fair to say that a lot of Major League Baseball caps signify more than baseball, right?
Absolutely.
They define a lot like family culture and so much more.
Absolutely.
And Bakersfield... Do you guys have a cap that resembles that culture and, for the people?
It's funny because we're kind of like that midpoint between, like we always say we're like the border between Southern California and Northern California.
Yeah.
And so, Dodger Town.
Yeah.
So the LA hat gets rocked.
Also, the LA hat.
LA hat's big. Also, Bakersfield's in Kern County. So the Kansas City Royals hat was always a big thing, man. The KC for Kern County. So that was always a big thing. And then we had minor league baseball there. So it was Bakersfield Blaze. And so, a couple of stores have dropped Bakersfield Blaze hats recently. So
I remember,
when I get a chance.
I have a funny story with the Dodger cap. I remember one time I was in the South, like Louisiana, Oklahoma area. Mm-hmm. And the Dodgers had made it to the World Series. Right. I think it was like 2015, I believe.
Okay.
No.
I'm bad with dates. So
no, it wasn't 2015, sorry. It was more like 2018, I believe. Mm-hmm. And they were at the World Series, and I wanted a Dodger cap, and no one had it, bro. I couldn't get it anywhere, and I was going bananas. I was like, where can I get myself a Dodger hat? I kept going inside all these sports stores. I kept going inside the mall, and I couldn't get a Dodger hat. But then I took like an hour, 30-minute drive to his other mall, and they had just one my size.
Really?
Yeah. And then to top it off, they lose again the next day.
And that's got to be weird because here, man, you can go around any corner and get a Dodger hat.
Everybody has it.
You might be able to hit up the store on the corner and get a Dodger hat if you want one. There you go. My man's rocking one right here. So Dodgers, and it's funny because my wife, her family, they're all Giants fans.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So, and I'm a Yankees fan.
Okay.
So, but, if I have a National League team, it's the Dodgers.
Can you take me into the process of like when it's time to purchase a cap and pick out a cap? What kind of stands out for you where you're kind of like, okay, this is the one?
Initially, it's logo. Okay. Like I'm always looking to see if I can cop something of a team I don't have.
Yeah.
Or, I like, I'm not just a wearer. I'm a collector. So I collect things. So I'm like, I want to have all the Major League Baseball teams. I have all but two, and I don't know if I can ever buy those two.
Okay.
I can't rock a Red Sox hat, and I can't rock a Giants hat.
Okay.
So I have every other Major League team, but those two hats, I don't know if they'll ever make it to the collection. So we'll see. I made mine just to say I did it. But yeah, initially it's logo, man. So like there's stores that are, they specialize in minor league.
Yeah.
And so I love seeing all the different minor league teams. And Society just released some AHL hats.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I copped a couple of those.
I've seen them.
Yeah. Caffeine did them.
Yeah, Caffeine did
and Eric
collection.
over there.
Yeah.
So I copped a couple of those because they're logos I didn't have or, I've never seen before. So those are cool too. And then honestly, man, like I'm really big on, I don't know what, for the sake of conversation, I'm still going to call them F&Fs, but I don't know if they're, I know they don't do the whole F&F process anymore. But if friends of mine or people who are independent designers or designing stuff, I try to jump on as many of those as I can.
Okay.
I love supporting people in the community, man. I love seeing like people get their grind on and make something that came from the heart, and then see it go from that idea process all the way through to production. I think that's fucking cool.
Have you ever had a situation where like you see a hat where like, damn, they're calling my name, but it's just the cap is not a New Era, and you're kind of like, I want the cap.
Happens a lot.
But I just can't rock that.
Happens a lot, man.
It's usually on that classic snapback. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the sports specialty.
And for me, that's not it, bro. Like I can't rock it.
Yeah, I can't really wear a snapback. I can't really rock anything that's not a new era. And not because of, like, it's some tribalism or anything. I like the way it fits.
Yeah.
And the fitted. I mean, I've always been a fitted guy.
Okay.
Like, I've never really worn snapbacks. Other than, like, you know, when I played baseball and we had a snapback hat or something like that. But as far as my own personal collection stuff, it's pretty much all fitted.
You know, we have a lot of diversity when it comes to caps, right? You have like New Era, you have Mitchell and Ness,
right?
You have the 47 brand,
right?
And so much moving forward, right? What about the New Era is it for you? Like, what about New Era?
Honestly, dude, I think it's just, you know, one, it was the first. You never forget your first, right?
Yeah.
Bro? And then
like your first love.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But then too, like I fell in love with them because they were the hats that my favorite players were wearing.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the dudes on the field were wearing, and so that's kind of where my love of it came from. So that's just kind of where it sticks with me. You know.
Yeah.
You know, if you're a young Dodger fan right now, yeah, you could rock the same hat that Mookie Betts is wearing or Ohtani's wearing. You know, the same thing. You know. Mine was for Rupert Jones.
Yeah.
You know? I was rocking the same hat that Rupert Jones was wearing. So I think that's just where the New Era love came from. And not, you know, everybody to each their own as far as style. You know, I know people who rock Mitchell and Ness and they're happy with it, and more power to them. It's just something about that New Era flag and what it means as far as where I started my collecting.
Okay.
That's why I rock it.
You know, a lot of guys say that when it comes to like sports teams cap for New Era, right? Mm-hmm. There's only so many colorways you could bring out, right? There's only so many ideas you could bring out. You think we ever get to a point where it's like there's no more ideas left for a sports team?
I think at times we're almost. It seems like we're there sometimes right now. I mean, as a collector, like I get caught up on like certain logos. Okay. And I'll just collect a bunch of a certain logos. So like right now it's the Diamondback script.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it the first time I saw it, and I was like, man, I'll buy a bunch, you know, in different colorways and stuff. But after a while, they all look, you know, I was like, yeah, I've seen that one. I haven't. Yeah. I've seen that one. I haven't.
Like, when is something else coming?
But, you know, when you look at the New Era colorway book, like there's only so many options that go together that are going to be good and that people are going to want to see. So I think that's where kind of the creativity of, you know, using different stitching and the metallics come into play. That's where I think that's why a lot of people are really heavy in the metallics, because that's a way for it to stand out and look a little bit different and not be the same old.
Yeah, because I feel like eventually we're going to get to a point where like, hey, bro, there's only so many purples you could put out.
Yeah, we've seen it all. And that's why it's really cool when somebody does do something different. You're like, oh, shit. But I'm also not the type that just to like something because it's different. Like, it's still got to look good. Like, different doesn't always mean good.
And do you explore other teams? Like, do you get into like football and hockey and stuff like that? You explore those designs as well? Yeah,
absolutely. Like, I love college football.
Okay.
In fact, as soon as I'm done here, man, I head home. USC plays tonight.
Yeah. That Trojan, that's a really nice design.
Yeah. In fact, I just did a little photo shoot. I got a couple Trojans hats, and when I'm done here, I'll post it. But with college hats, like a lot of the colleges won't allow them to do anything but their colorway.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Which I get, because, you know, college football fans or college sports fans in general, they're pretty loyal, so they don't want to see their stuff in somebody else's colors.
It's crazy that you mentioned college football, brother, because I traveled to Arkansas and I was there for a while, and they don't have NFL over there.
Right.
So the Razorbacks, that's life over there. People will fight and do whatever for the Razorback.
Absolutely.
And that's when I understood the power of college football. Because over there, like, they care about the Super Bowl, but it's not like the Razorbacks making it to the championship.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're in that whole SEC country, that down the, you know, southeastern, you know, Alabama, Arkansas, you know, those Georgia, they are down for the squads, man. They're into it.
They're willing to die for their team, which is, I mean, respect to all of them out there. No disrespect.
Absolutely.
I just really admire how their devotion.
No, it's a whole nother different kind of passion, man. It's like, Friday Night Lights. You seen the movie in Texas, the high school football. I was in Texas for work a couple of years ago, and they took us to like a group outing, and we were right next to a stadium, and this was, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
it's like a $20 million football stadium for a high school.
Damn.
It was wild.
For high school
football.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like it was wild, but that's the passion down there, and that's cool. Like I'll never knock passion.
What is your personal intake on when price points for caps in 2024? How do you feel about the price points right now?
It's funny because my process of looking for hats is I have a tab on my laptop.
Give me a second, brother.
Yeah.
I turned off. Let me turn it back on. That means we'll be recording for 30 minutes.
Damn, already?
Yeah.
That went fast. Man, he's got me rambling on for 30 minutes. That shit went fast.
Yeah, it's once you get into the group, bro, it doesn't even feel like we're recording.
No, not at all.
That's why I tell a lot of people that get nervous, like, fool, let me take care of the conversation, and you're going to feel like we're not even recording.
Well, as you can tell, I have no problem talking either. I'm a talker, bro, so.
All right, we're going to get back into it. Let's just take a water break. We'll get right back into it.
Is it cool if I pull out the water and take in the middle?
Yeah.
Drinking the milk? I just don't want to be like.
Yeah, go for it.
My mouth gets super dry real easy.
No water brand.
All righty.
I made sure, bro. I brought my own stuff.
All right.
I don't want the sponsors to get mad, bro.
No, I don't got no sponsors yet.
That's coming. I'm
an ambassador for the Clink, but they haven't reached out for the podcast yet. All right. 1, 2, 3. And in 2024, brother, what is your intake on the price points for caps right now?
So, yeah, man, like my whole process for looking for hats in the first place, I got a tab on my laptop and it's got all the hat stores that.
Yeah.
And so every couple of days, man, I just go through, see, has anybody released anything? Has anybody looked at anything? And from that, I see the price points. And like, there's some stores that are pretty solid and they're doing their $50.
Yeah.
$50, which is pretty standard. There's some stores that same type of hats and they're like $65. And I'm like, why am I going to pay the 15 extra bucks?
Yeah.
When these people are doing really good hats too? Like what sets your hat apart that makes it an extra 15 bucks? And, for some people, you may like $15, no big deal. But when you're a collector and you're buying a lot of hats, that $15 adds up. So, I think that, some stores are trying to kind of reset the market and they're sticking to that price point, which is cool. And
let me ask you this, brother. Let's say, for example, you have a cap. Let's say you have one of these caps, right? And there's no more available, right?
Right.
And you decide, hey, I'm open to selling it.
Right.
Do you find it fair that you could put whatever price you want on that cap?
I always look at it as like it's worth whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. I get the whole, people are like, oh man, resellers are taking advantage of people. But if somebody's willing to give me $200 for a hat,
why not?
That's not on me. Like I've had people reach out to me like, hey man, I've been trying to cop that hat that you posted. Like, would you sell it to me? I'll offer and make an offer, $200. And I'm like, I generally don't because I buy the hats because I want them.
Yeah.
But yeah, if somebody's willing to buy it for me for that much, that's on them. Like I always look at it like that, man. It's worth what somebody's willing to give it.
There's certain hats, bro, that me personally I just can't get rid of. Like for example, this Dead President design, I really love it.
Right.
And I recently got offered someone tried to buy it for me, and I was like, I don't want to sell it,
Yeah.
Just because it's a very valuable.
Right.
Someone hit me up
absolutely.
on the internet, and they were like, hey man, I really like that hat. Would you sell it?
Right.
And I'm just like, it just has my name all over it, bro. I just don't want to sell it,
Yeah, and with as many hats in my collection, I can't say that they all have sentimental value.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them that do that. Either it was the first hat I bought from this store, or like I said, the F&Fs, man, those are something I'll never get rid of. Those are something that they have a personal meaning to me. I bought them from the homies, or they're people who I met through. I jumped in their F&F and then became friends with them after the fact.
Okay.
So I had one guy who an F&F, and he just happened to be when it was ready. He happened to be in Bakersfield.
Oh wow!
And I was like, hey man, I'll meet you up. He let me know where he was, and he was literally like 2 minutes from my house.
Okay.
He was visiting family, but we were like 2 minutes away. We met up in the parking lot of a restaurant, chop it up for a little bit. But like those kind of things, I'll never get rid of.
For that viewer that will watch this that has no idea what an F&F is.
So friends and family. I had to learn too because I didn't know. So friends and family. So it was, I know they've changed the process, so I don't know what they technically call it anymore. But it was, people were able to make their own designs, go through a store, and they could get 18 made of that design.
On a new era?
On the new era, yeah. Oh, wow. And the stores would kind of contract it and do it for them.
Like lids type thing?
Sort of, but it would go through, say, I'm not going to throw out any store name, but maybe like a Pro Image in town.
Yeah.
And that Pro Image would say, yeah, I'll take your design. We'll make 18 of them.
Okay.
And you sell those 18 to your friends and family.
So you kind of have to have like some type of wholesale license to be able to put in an order.
So yeah, I don't know the exact process, but like the design goes to a store that has a new era contract. Then they work up the design, work with their distributor, their designer, whatever, and it goes to New Era for approval. But I know recently a lot of that has changed, and stores aren't really allowed to do it anymore. There's people, I guess, finding ways around it. I don't,
maybe because the demand's too high, or the resale prices are going up the roof.
And honestly, there's I don't know if you're on Instagram, man, there's hat drama going on all the time. I try to stay out of it as much as possible, and I just want if I can get the hat, cool, and if it can't get done,
I'm just the type of guy like, bro, if you're gonna sit there and talk about my hat, like, hey, fool, you must have too much time on your hands.
Absolutely.
Good luck to you, buddy. You're not gonna get a reaction from me.
Absolutely. My thing is too, like, with the hat game, man, like there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
There's something for people who only like customs. That's great. You got Clink and you got Capologists and you got people who are doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you only like I've heard the term a lot lately. Oh, he's a level 1 collector.
What does that mean?
Like very basic. They only like basic stuff. And I'm
wow.
In my mind, I'm like, we were all level 1 collectors at some point. Like we all started, there's people like, oh, lids, they just they put out mids. They call it mids, and I'm like, okay, cool. But we all probably copped our first hat at the lids.
I don't know if you've seen, bro, Barry Bonds. No, not Barry Bonds. Sorry, I take that back. Babe Ruth. The hat he wore while he played baseball went for millions of dollars,
Crazy.
Bro.
Crazy.
I couldn't believe how much
level 1. That's a level 1 hat too. It's a level 1 collector hat too.
So if I get my hands on that, am I the supreme collector?
Yeah, apparently so. Apparently so. But there's something for everybody out there, man. Yeah. And so like, for somebody to like, if I don't like a hat, then I just won't rock it or I won't buy it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to like knock somebody's design and knock somebody's work and talk them down just because I don't like I can not like it and not be an ass at the same time.
We're not going to be like, hey, bro, what were you thinking putting a cat on a hat? Are you retarded? Like, I'm not going to do all that, man.
I've seen people, not even just online, like in lives and stuff, be like, you bought that hat? That's dumb. That's the worst hat. And I'm like, but he liked it, so who cares? Like it shouldn't bother you that he likes a hat that you don't like, and
it's crazy how powerful a hat is, right? Because you take the Donald Trump hat, for example,
right?
Make America Great Again,
right?
How impactful that hat was. Yeah, brother, it's just interesting, there could be negativity, right?
Right.
But I guess you just got to find your way to maneuver your way around that stuff. I'm a positive guy. It takes a lot to get me to be negative, extremely a lot, like a lot. So good luck.
Right. No, and that's like, I look at it, man, this is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. Like we got in it for fun. Right?
Yeah.
Everything, any hobby you have, your graffiti, you got into it for fun. And if you start bringing the negativity in it, then why are you even doing it anymore? Like it's all about the fun. So
it's like I tell people, bro, like I got so many problems in real life at home.
Sir.
This is where I get to escape and have some fun.
Yes.
Absolutely. Like, for example, me, brother, right? When I was a kid, I didn't have no money to go be buying no caps.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was lucky to just get one cap per every year.
Right.
So now that I'm able to have so many caps, I just like really value the moment. Like, damn, I'm here.
Yes.
Because if I would have had all these caps when I was 16, 15, forget it, bro. Right. It's over.
Exactly. Well, and it's kind of like that same vibe that I talk about where the availability of hats.
Yeah.
I grew up where you couldn't just, first of all, there was no internet, bro. Yeah. Like, there wasn't the internet when it existed, but we didn't, it wasn't something that you can just go online and buy a hat. Now, guys just jump online and buy a hat. They do it through their phone. We had to go out of town. Like, I was traveling to a store, and if we happened to be driving through town and we had the time and the money to stop, we would. So it wasn't like, so I appreciate that because it was work to get a hat back then. It wasn't as easy as it is.
So those early stages of cap collecting before the internet.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. I tell everybody I'm closer to 50 than I'm 40 at this point. So like, I remember those days, man. And it was special to get a hat. It was meaningful. Like, it wasn't just like a thing where it just showed up at your doorstep.
Yeah, for me to, like I said, for me to get one cap, I would look at my mom and I would just like be very appreciative. Thank you so much. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Thank you for making it happen.
Yes.
And sometimes we have those talks where like she's like, "Damn, how many hats do you need?"
No, my mom's famous saying, "Is it a necessity?" She says that to us all the time. And there are times where I buy hats and there's so many coming in. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like I've gotten a little out of hand at times, and I'll tell my wife like, I need to slow my roll. Like I'm getting a little out of hand. But there's also that same like. There's that joy. I've joked with a couple guys like those little brown boxes. They show up at your doorstep and they bring so much joy, man. Like it's just like, oh man, one came and you get the opening, and
it's like you can have a really bad day, right?
That hat
and
shows
then
up.
You see that box and it just goes away for that second, like ooh,
that little brown box got magical powers, brother.
And then people got like little special, like cool little things to open the boxes up with now and stuff, like. I seen that guy had like a little sword, like all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's a knife in my kitchen. There's a knife in my office. There's a knife in my garage. There's a knife for opening, no matter where I end up opening them up at.
You come in into the cap culture before the internet, right?
Right.
And being there for the beginning of cap culture and with the internet till now, would you say the internet kind of benefited the cap culture, or do you think it kind of ruined it?
Like with everything, Matt, it's a little of both.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the availability and for stores to be able to get their stuff out, and with Instagram, I don't know if there would be an F&F culture if there wasn't Instagram or social media where guys can connect. And but at the same time, the internet and all that has provided, it's made it to where it's easily oversaturated. Like we were saying, like. How many hats can, how many hats in the same colorway can there be? And two stores releasing hats that look almost exactly alike. And, maybe small changes in the side patch or something is the only difference. So, like with everything, man, there's give and take. You take the good with the bad. And, I could complain that, oh, man, it's oversaturated. But at the same time, I'm able to get hats that I like and that I want. So.
It's like a one-way street, right?
Yes, no, absolutely, man. And like, if it provides me an opportunity to go out and get the stuff I like, then I'm all for it. And if some negative stuff comes with it, I can overlook it.
Are you a big fan of accessories on your caps, like side patches and pins and stuff like that?
The side patches, yes. I love the side patches. I have plain Janes, and I'll rock a plain Jane. And my go-to hat is just an old school plain on-field Yankees hat. Okay. Like, I'll always have a brand new one of those ready to go. The pins and blips and stuff, not as much. Just not my style. Yeah. I like when people do it. It looks cool. And I buy a lot of pins and blips. I like to support people who make that stuff.
So you collect pins too?
So I have pins and I have blips and so I got, I've made these little holders so I can display the blips. I don't necessarily wear them on my hat. But I also like the style of them. I like what people do with them. I like that people are out here hustling, just like the F&Fs, man. If people are hustling and out here getting their art and their designs out, I want to support.
If anybody out there wants to check out F&F stuff, like support, local artists and stuff like that, what would you say would be a good place to go check this out at?
Instagram, man. You get on and people are always telling their stories. Hey, trying to get this one made. And like I said, I don't know what it's called anymore. Apparently F&F is frowned upon and it's not allowed. So it's being done. There's people out there all the time, man. And they'll show it. Hey, got this one. If anyone's interested, tap in, jump into a DM. I would recommend kind of getting to know that person first to make sure you're not getting took. I've been took before,
really?
Yeah. I mean, it happens.
Can you share experience?
It was actually one of the first F&Fs I ever tapped in on. And, I started talking to the guy. He was really cool, and we just kind of it wasn't even about like the F&F initially. We were just talking about hats. Yeah. He said, "Hey, I'm trying to get this hat made. Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Yep." And a lot of times, you got to shoot the bread up front, so so they have the money to go through the process. Shot on the money, and I think we're looking about 16, 18 months and
nothing,
and no hat, and he hasn't returned a DM in a while, man.
And he's still active.
It says he was active an hour ago the last time I sent a message. So, lesson learned, I guess, man. Hey, it's a $60 loss, but lesson learned, I guess. And so you really got to trust the people you get in with. So, a lot of them are people that I'm in group chats with already, or I've done business with them before. Yeah. So I have that trust already built with them. Okay. It's rarely ever just a stranger.
It's like I was telling you before we started recording that when someone hits me up on like, oh, I'm trying to get into painting, or hey, I'm trying to get that cap, or I'm about caps. The first thing that I usually do is I just check out the page. Like, if you're really into something, it'll show some type of like, okay, he's into it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like you can't say, hey, I cook for fun on Sundays. And then on your page, I can't even see a picture of a quesadilla or nothing. You know what I
mean? Now I want a quesadilla. I'm also big, like, if somebody, somebody's going out there, like, somebody's jumping in my DMs and asking, I don't want to say it's a red flag, but I'll do a little more research on you.
Okay.
But I'll reach out to people I know. You get to know people in this community, and I'll reach out, be like, hey, have you ever done business with this guy? You ever done enough with this guy? You ever, do you know him? Oh, he's a cool guy. Cool. You vouch for him? Yeah. Okay. And I'll ask a couple people, and I'll have 2 or 3 people who I really trust, and if they vouch for you, then we'll rock.
Hopping into that conversation, brother, being part of the cap culture, the cap community, right? How was it when you just early stages of meeting people that are like, oh, damn, there's other people out here doing the same thing I do, collecting? Like, how was the interactions, like the early interactions?
First, it was a cool feeling because it's, when you look at this hat culture, man, it's really a niche community.
Yeah.
Like, it's, we think like everybody's into what we're into. Like, no, there's a few of us. When it's all said and done, it's really a small community. And so to find that, first of all, was cool because I'm like, oh, there's other people who are just as crazy as I am.
Yeah,
really
I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm not the only alien out here.
Yes, no, because like, none of my friends that, I'm with on a daily basis are into the hats like I am.
Okay.
Like, it's, it's me. And then my brothers will listen to me ramble on about it. My poor wife hears it. She hears hat talk every day, and God bless her, man. She's willing to listen. But so to find people and it, honestly, I was never one, like, I wasn't big on social media and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I got this page and I found people, like, I was weird about DMs. Like, I didn't want to jump in people's DMs.
Like, I don't want you to send a stranger a message.
Exactly.
Like hi.
And then it started happening, people sending me messages.
Okay.
And then I was able to link up with some really cool people, man, and join some group chats. And shout out Mr. Dome Pieces.
Shout out Mr. Dome Pieces.
He was one of the first to kind of bring me into a group chat, and just met some really cool people, man. And I've bought FNFs from those people. I've appeared on some of those people's shows, and just building that community. And then from there, it kind of is an offshoot. And then you have a group that's nothing but pins, and I talk to those people. And then I've met people who I've been able to bounce ideas off of. I got into this, I was only going to buy hats.
Yeah.
It was just going to be a hat buying process. Just got a logo made, got my first pen pack on the way. Working on designing my own hat right now, like learning that process and learning kind of the colorways and stuff like that. So some of these people that I've hooked up with have given me some of the tools to and offered to, hey man, I'll help you out. I'll show you how this app works. I'll send you a template.
Yeah.
How to work. All that stuff is just, I mean, it's so valuable to have people who are just as willing to help you succeed as you are to help them.
For me, brother, what I could say is, like, I come from a surrounding that's very negative growing up, right? Mm-hmm. Where there's always someone talking bad. Right. There's always someone trying to put you down. You know what I mean? There's never nothing positive. So bringing that with me, I try to keep it to a side, but I still carry it sometimes in the back of my head as my mentality. So becoming an ambassador for the Clean Room, when the first guys, designers, and people were reaching out to me, it was just a good feeling, understanding that somebody doesn't really want to take advantage of me. They just want to talk.
Yes.
They just want to talk caps. Like, hey, bro, nice to meet you. I'm so-and-so. If you ever need anything, if you don't know how to do this, reach out. It's all love. And I build relationships like that because of just conversating caps. Like, oh, that's cool what you got going on over there.
Hell yeah.
Or for me that I draw and I paint, I draw on a daily basis. So I'll tell a guy or two, like, hey, man, I got this design that I did. Can I get your input? What do you think?
Yeah. No, that's cool to be able to just to reach out to people. So I had somebody just recently gift me something that'll be really helpful in design.
Yeah.
And my first thought was like, man, how can I thank you?
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, somebody did this for me. I'm passing it on.
Yeah.
I don't want anything, man. Just go have fun and make some cool designs. And I'm like, oh. Like, it wasn't like, I was you want some money for this? Like, what? And it was just, nah, man, I just want to help. And that's a really cool feeling because I'm kind of like, like you're saying, like I'm not the most trusting individual, dude.
Yeah.
Like it takes a lot for me to absolutely trust somebody.
Yeah.
And so for somebody who, doesn't live in the same state, we've never met face to face. We've talked a lot, I've copped some hats from them. To reach out and kind of give me some tools that are really going to help. I was like, oh, and wanted nothing in return at all. I didn't even ask for it. He gave it. I didn't ask for it.
And that's something I love about the community, right? Like, there's always going to be negativity, but in my personal experiences, there's more positivity.
Absolutely.
And I mean, shout out to anybody out there that's keeping it down. And if there's ever anything I could do, reach out, man. Absolutely. I'm a message away.
Absolutely. Like even something as easy as like sharing somebody's post.
Yeah.
Like it's 2 clicks of a button, man.
Boom, boom, boom.
And to get people's name out there and help. And like, cause I was a level 1. I was a level 1 guy at one point, like my Instagram page, like I didn't, I came into it with nothing. I didn't know anybody in the world and I just jumped into it. And so I would just follow people, like their stuff.
Yeah.
And then they would like back. And then it just kind of built upon that. And then
became a friendship.
And then became friendships. And then became people who like, people who are like, hey man, if you're ever in my city, let's hook up.
Okay.
People who are like, if you're ever in my country, let's hook up. Let's hang out.
Pull up.
Yes. And it's sincere, man. And it's people who are, that's my favorite part of it all, man, is that through this love of hats, like I've made friends and I've made connections with people that, and it's not even about like what we can gain from each other. We're just gaining some fun,
genuine love,
genuine friendship, and love, man. And that's the best, man.
It's like when people tell me like, you're retarded, you're dumb. Why are you gonna have all these caps? And how much is it? Like,
right.
It's like, bro, it's like you don't understand, bro. It's more to that, bro. Like, obviously, I love the caps. People love the caps, but there's a whole thing behind this. You know what I mean?
No,
so it's like you got to understand before you jump into it.
Yeah, and it's just. It really is a community, man, and it's building with people and seeing people's, seeing somebody else's hat get made, or seeing like people who you've rocked with for a long time who are now designing for stores exclusively. Yeah. And it's like, man, I remember I bought a hat from him like a year and a half ago, and now he's designing exclusively for this store and getting stuff out there and popping. That's cool to me, man. Like to see other people succeed. I love that, and I think maybe that goes back to that whole coaching, like the whole coaching and mentoring. Like I'm just doing stuff, hoping other people succeed and I can be a small part of it. And that culture, the hat culture's done the same for me.
Definitely, man. I'm on the same boat. I wanted to get into, but the power of spray paint has got me to some places that I never thought I was going to end up at. Right. Where I'm just like, bro, how am I even here?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Have you ever had that feeling with cap collecting?
So the cap collecting actually led me to pick up my camera again.
Okay.
I was, the photography hobby years ago and just kind of got burned out with it. Wasn't really like it. And my camera got put away and literally I hadn't touched it for about 5-6 years.
Okay.
And started posting pictures of the hats.
Yeah.
And it was all on my phone. And I was like, I'm going to bust out the camera and see what I can do.
Okay.
Busted out the camera, got some good shots, started learning some editing.
Yeah.
Started learning some stuff and people started liking it. People started reaching out and people started reaching out like, hey man, I got a hat dropping. Would you mind doing the photo art for it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Like, really? And I never did it I did it because I was enjoying it.
Yeah,
and so I wasn't trying to make anything out of it. And then people were like, "Hey, man, if I send you a hat, will you do the photos for it?"
Yeah,
let's
do it.
Let's do it, absolutely. And so, like, it's brought out that, that creativity that I don't consider myself a very creative person.
Yeah,
but through the photos, I've been able to express some creativity, and to have people reach out to me and want to work with me on something that, to me, is just a hobby.
Yeah,
and that people are enjoying to where they want to use it to promote their stuff. People are wanting it to help them build something based on what I'm doing. Like, that's a really cool feeling, man. So that's part of like, I never thought I'd be doing that, and it's led me to kind of come out of my shell a little bit. Like I said, I never thought I'd be even considering designing a hat.
Yeah.
I'm working on my first hat design.
Okay.
I got a really good friend who's got his clothing line, but he's also a photographer. And he's like, hey, let's do a photo shoot. Dude, I used to laugh at those people, like, standing in front doing a photo shoot. And here I was earlier this week, like doing a full-on photo shoot and posting pictures of it, something I never thought I'd do. And so it's really got me out of this little bubble of where I didn't think I was able to create, and now I'm open to all kinds of creating.
Man, I feel you 100% because that's kind of my same story. Like, you know, I was just a kid spray painting, man.
Right.
Led me to so many opportunities to where, like, if you would have told me I would have had a whole podcast studio when I was 15, 16.
That's awesome, man.
I would have told you sound dumb, bro. Leave me alone.
No, that's awesome, man. I know I walked in, I was like, oh, this is legit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's, you know, you never know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
You know, behind the curtain, guys, we never met until today. You know, we had talked and everything, but we had never met till today. So didn't really know what I was walking into. And you come in and it's lighting and it's everything. And it's awesome in here, man.
Yeah, thank you.
You got a really cool setup, and it just kind of gives you a vibe like, yeah, we're doing something really cool here. And so, yeah, I appreciate, you know, I appreciate you having me, but I appreciate you going through all the work for somebody who you hadn't even met. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I tell a lot of buddies of mine. They're like, how are you going to just let people come in here? I'm like, bro, it's not even about that. It's like, I'm not hiding anything. I don't owe nobody nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to share a message here that I started a level 0 collector. You know what I mean? That's
going to be the name of the episode, Level 1 Collector.
Level 0 collector. I was grateful. I was blessed to become an ambassador for the Clink Room. And I want to learn more, but there's nothing out there to teach me.
Right.
So me having all the tools, why not be the guy to put the message out?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And that's, you know, I think a lot of times we get in this bubble where we don't want to reach out and ask questions.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to reach out to somebody. Like, you got to set your ego aside every once in a while and be like, I don't know how to do this, or I want to know more about this. With the pen packs, I had never made a pen in my life. I had no idea what I was doing. I reached out to people who were really successful in it, and I'm like, where did you start? How did you start? What was your process? Ask questions, man. It's like there's no dumb questions. I was like, ask. And then based on that, I started building up, and to the point where I was confident, like, all right, I'm ready to go forward with this. And you link up with cool people who are willing to push you. Yeah. Like those dudes were like, no, get going, do it, do it.
Because
also, you know, I'm always hesitant about stuff. I'm not super confident in those creative abilities. So when those guys are like, nah, man, let's do this, do it, push it.
And that's something I love about the CAP community and stuff like that, because in my circle, bro, nobody's creative. I'm the only one. So I paint, I do photography, I record podcasts. Awesome. I do everything by myself.
That's awesome.
And my inner circle, even my blood siblings, they're not creative whatsoever, but they support me.
Right.
So it's good to have that creative guy to be like, hey, bro, why don't you change the eyeball like this, or do this or do that? You know, so to me, I'm always grateful for that.
That's cool.
You know, up to now in 2024, right? All designs on caps, to my knowledge, have been designed by an actual human, right? Mm-hmm. By hand.
Yeah.
Does it bother you at all knowing that there's a possibility that one day you might rock a hat that's made with AI?
I'd be a hypocrite if I said it would bother me, because I use AI stuff in my video and my photography stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I try to go as much of just natural photo shoots as possible, but sometimes you just gotta, you know, you gotta run some filters through and you gotta do some stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, it's something I've never really thought of. I mean, I would absolutely love for it to always be somebody hand designing that. Yeah. You know, because it's just part of the culture right now.
Okay.
But you kind of have to adapt at times too. You know what I mean?
You know, because like 100 years from now, bro, like, do you feel like the fitted cap is still going to be a thing? Like, do you see it still being as dominant as it is now?
I don't know, man. I never thought it would be where it's at right now. You know what I mean? Like, when I was buying hats as a 10-year-old kid, I never thought that there was going to be hat conventions and hat podcasts and, you know, groups of people who just talk about hats all day. You know, I never thought any of that would happen. So, I mean,